Hello and welcome to Method 8 Self-Publishing Training Course. I am in the air chair today, Brian West, the President and CEO of Method 8. There is a few things we're going to cover in this course. We have how to find a publishing company, self-publishing company, getting the book done and formatted. We're going to talk about the book cover. We're going to talk about copyrights, ISBNs, UPCs, pricing, and then I'll give you my Method 8 spiel as usual. So first, let's go over finding a company. Now, there are a few ways to publish a book. You have self-publishing is one of the well-known and the fastest growing in the world right now because it gives the author more freedom to do whatever they want to do without having to be tied under a publisher. The first step is to Google a self-publishing company and find the best company that fits your vision. So that's basically what you have to do to find a company that kind of fits what you're looking for. There's a bunch of self-publishing companies out there, but use your gift of discernment and find the one that best suits your needs and has the best price as well. Even though prices, the cheaper you buy, the cheaper you pay, is the cheaper your product will look. So think about that too. If you're going to spend some good quality money, make sure the self-publisher has been in business for quite a few years and knows the loops and trick holes to make you a good self-published author. Some other things that we're going to talk about is getting the book formatted. Now, whenever you submit a book to a self-publisher, it has to be formatted correctly. That means that they have to have the right files. If you're going to use a Word document, then make sure the self-publisher is using Word as well. That is a tip to make sure the book is properly formatted and meets the self-publisher's needs. Now, self-publishing can get pricey, especially when you talk about editing and getting the book to be a good product for the consumer. There are a bunch of editors out there. If you can't afford an editor, I would recommend finding a good English teacher. You can find some at churches. You can find an English teacher that you grew up with that will gladly edit your book and not even want any credit for it, and some of them won't even charge you. But once you get into editing, especially when you're editing a self-publishing book, they can be pricey. Some editors charge per word. So it's always good to make sure that you find a good publishing editor that can fit. Anytime you're publishing a book, you got to make sure that they're the same people that you are, and they, just not greedy and just being ethical when you try to get a product out there that others can read. A good edited book is not only good to let people know that you spent time to publish your book, but it lets them know that you're an author who takes pride in your work as well. So make sure you do get your book edited before it gets sent up to print. That is a time-consuming process and usually is about the meat of the publishing process. So I would say find a good editor. Another thing is the book cover. You want to make sure that the book cover it meets your needs. Now, most self-publishing companies provide this service, but if you do it yourself, make sure you get a good design program that fits your needs, a good software that you can adapt to, and that can give you a good product when it comes to editing. And you also want to make sure that the cover it meets your expectations as well as the publishers, because once you send it over to get copied or get printed up, you can't redo it, and it costs to redo it. So you always want to make sure that your editing and your cover is done perfectly, so you don't have to make any corrections, because you want to read over it, you want to look at it, you want to review it, and make sure it's ready for print, and make sure that it meets your expectations, the publishers, and the people who you hope to buy your book. So those are just some of the few things that you want to make sure that you perfect in the editing process: the cover design, the editing, and make sure that it meets the publisher's formatting standards so it can be a smooth process. Because any mistakes, remember, you will always have to pay for them. So always remember that when you're in the publishing process. Another one we're going to talk about is copyrights. Now, there are a bunch of copyright laws, but when you get to a publisher, they should provide the service. All that should be provided in the publisher's package, the self-publishing package. Copyright protects you from any intellectual property that is stolen. Anybody who tries to bite off your style without your he just tries to take your work and take credit for it. There are a bunch of copyright laws out there, but you do want to register with the Copyright Office at, I believe it's www.copyright.org, and you do want to make sure, .gov, I believe it's one of those, but you do want to make sure that your work is copywritten. The self-publisher should provide the service at a small fee, and that pretty much covers the copyright laws, and it covers the book cover, and that covers the editing format. So let's get to the ISBN. Every book has an well, mostly every book that is on the market has an ISBN number. The self-publisher should provide the service for you, which in the format of your cover. ISBNs are always on professional books, people who take pride in their products, because it helps identify your book through a database of collection of books. There is probably over 1 billion books in the world, so you do want to make sure your book can be identified with an ISBN. And all this should be included in the self-publishing price of your book, and it really helps to have an ISBN, because you don't know, you may come out with another title which is part 2, and it may be hard to identify depending on, but that's why you have an ISBN number. Some other things that the self-publisher should provide is a UPC. A UPC is just a barcode. It is called the Universal Product Code, and that is the code that helps retailers and stores identify your product when they have it in stores. Some book chains have their own ISBN numbers, and I'm sorry, UPC numbers, and some retail stores use the universal one that you purchased for the copy of the book. So just remember that ISBN and a UPC the code usually helps identify your product. Now, pricing varies when you price your book. Always remember, when you price your books, some things that we want to go over when you talk about pricing is pricing depends on how much you spent and how many pages that book is. You got to think about that. You got to think about how much it costs for the cover design. So you want to integrate all that into the pricing of your book, so you can get that book back, make that money back that you spent off the product. And you always want to print enough books that you know that you can sell. Print on demand companies usually offer good quality idea of how many books that you will need to push, especially when you have events that you go to. Self-publishing is a very interesting process, because you the author has to put in all of the work to make sure that book is sold and make sure it's pushed on the market. Some other things you want to do when you self-publish the book, when you go into pricing, is you want to make sure that the price is affordable, that consumers, when they see your price, they don't go, just googly-eyed. You want to make sure that they love your book and that they're satisfied with the price, but you do want to make the money back. Some other things that could make the price of your book different is the cover, the hard cover, soft cover, or if you get ebooks, digital books. Now remember, digital books, people still share them just like regular paper books, so you could lose some money if that's what you're in the business for. Most authors are in the business just to find readers, but it just really depends on what you're in the business for. So that is pretty much it, and just make sure you have a budget when you self-publish a book, because most of the money is spent on marketing. So just remember that. We have another course that we'll probably be adding on our channel for marketing. But just make sure you keep an eye on those things. So these are just a quick review. We talked about getting the book formatted, the book cover, finding a self-publishing company, copyright, ISBNs, UPCs, and pricing. Good luck on your self-publishing venture, and remember, find a company that fits your needs, and the more books you print, the more you have to sell, the more you have to push. Every potential person you know could be a consumer. So now we'll talk about that in our marketing course. I want to thank you so much for tuning into our channel on our self-publishing course. And don't forget to sponsor us at method8inc.com. That's METHOD 8inc.com, where if you sponsor over $10, you could get a free book and movies. And yes, again, I did read some things from a script, so I did cheat. Thank you so much for tuning into our channel. Have a good day, and I am going to edit some more videos. Have a good day.